everything you're hearing from the Democrats are already things that they failed at over 30 years. Blacks are struggling more than any other demographic. We got the highest prison rate, highest high school dropout rate, highest murder rate. What's in it for us?
Basically, most of us, I believe, we voted Democrat because that's what we was brought up to do. You know, you go to the poll, they say vote Democrat, vote Democrat. But I don't really see no change that they say they're doing. I think it's just, to me, a whole bunch of crap, to be honest.
Sometimes you have to wonder just how stupid the Democrats think the American people are. I mean, we all know that Kamala is an incompetent fraud who owes her success solely to a dismantling of meritocracy, an ideology of division that brings race-based categories back to the forefront of society as we are living in the past. Even though the lefts love to pat themselves on the back for being so progressive. But there are sharp minds like JD Vance who have seen through this cynical game, and with that, we turn it over to the man of the hour. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's start it.
So when we see a Senator Vance in a barbershop, I promise you they can give you a fade.
Well, I actually need a haircut from time to time, so maybe I will show up in the barbershop, Lawrence. But look, I mean, my message to black voters in the barbershop or outside of it, Lawrence, is pretty simple here. That the argument they're making is actually very much common sense here. What they're saying is that Democratic policies have failed the black community for a generation. I mean, you know my story, Lawrence. I grew up with a grandmother who sometimes struggled to find enough to eat. I know that a lot of families, black and white, are in that exact same situation, but grocery prices are up 20% thanks to the policies of Kamala Harris. And she stands there and says on day one, she's going to make groceries more affordable. Well, day one, Kamala, was 1,300 days ago, and you haven't done anything. And I think it's so inspiring that you have those men in that barbershop who are standing up and saying, look, whatever the media propaganda has been fed to us, we have not had better lives under the policies of Democrat leadership.
What does it really mean to be hungry, not knowing if you will be able to pay your rent because open borders are driving up the housing market so a small elite can reveal in their so-called virtue? It's enough to make your blood boil when you hear Democrats claiming they are everything right while painting Trump as the biggest threat and anyone who supports him as a fool and an idiot. Is this really the kind of politics we want to continue? Chasing after some imaginary enemy while ignoring the fact that Trump knows exactly what the economic needs. We should be thankful someone like Vance has tasted the harsh reality of life and truly understand what the people needs. Unlike that leftist communist Tim Walz, whose track record is just a preview of what is coming if we don't make the right choice. But I'm sure this campaign still has plenty of surprise in store. Don't forget to subscribe. Let's keep going.
Could RFK help? I know Donald Trump has said I'd put him in the cabinet.
Well, I think it would be good for the campaign, Brian, and I've never talked to RFK about this, but my pitch to him and to a lot of his voters would be the Democratic Party of my grandparents that supported his uncle, John F. Kennedy, for president has been completely abandoned by the modern leadership of the Democratic Party. I mean, that was a party that believed in strong borders. That was a party that believed in building and making things in America, that believed in a strong national security, and really believed that we were all part of the same American family. This modern Democratic Party is focused on division. It's focused on putting people into racial and gender buckets and then using those divisions for political power. And it doesn't believe in anything common sense like American manufacturing or a strong American border. So I think the current Democratic leadership has gone so far in the leftward direction that RFK and that kind of Democrat is no longer welcome in the modern Democratic Party. I hope he, like Tulsi Gabbard, endorses the president, gets on the team, because this is about saving the country. Democrat or Republican, it's about saving the country through common sense. And unfortunately, there's only one political party that really represents common sense anymore. It's Donald J. Trump's Republican Party.
Do you know what common sense means to most Americans? It's focusing on the things that made America great in the first place, like meritocracy, which doesn't care about your background, your 70 genders, or quarters for women, but about the results you were willing to deliver. Sometimes it feels like today politics are made for losers, For sadists who love to feed off this self-hate our politicians imposed on us about our identity, who we are, who we were. They talk about the future, but constantly shame us with the past. Let's finally get back to where 1 + 1 = 2. It's time for a Trump administration. And as for how we can make it happen, Vance already has ideas that aren't just empty promises, but are rooted in a deep understanding. The stage is set for the final sense. Take it away, Vance.
How do you guys make that pitch of, okay, you guys are great on policy. It seems like when you look at the polling data, the American people actually agree with you on policy. But there's that other element. People vote based on how they feel. And I'm not just talking about when they go to the grocery store or anything like that, but they need to connect with you. So how do you layer good policy with good feelings as well? Because that seems to be an Achilles heel of the Republican Party. Even the guys I talked to yesterday, they said, listen, they come off a little corny sometimes, a little cheesy sometimes. So how do you make being a Republican, a conservative, cool again?
Well, the way that I do it, Lawrence, and this is just my approach, is that I talk about my family and I talk about my personal history, and I try to make people understand that we care about how this country is governed because we know that real people suffer. I mean, I think if you're, a strong man at a barber shop, one of the things you believe in is that you ought to take care of people, you ought to protect people, and you ought to get American leaders in there that are going to make your community stronger and more prosperous. And so how can we better make that case than talk about the ways in which our leadership can affect the lives of real people? I mean, look, I grew up in a family where there wasn't a whole lot of opportunity. I grew up in a family, Lawrence, where we couldn't afford private security. So why did we need strong police? Because we believed that public safety was the right of every American citizen, whether you're rich or poor. A lot of American kids don't have that these days because the Democrats have decided to wage war on American police. And I think if you tick through the issues here, we just believe in common sense, and we think that if you're governed by common sense, every kid in this country, black or white, rich or poor, is going to have an opportunity at the American dream. We just got to get back to that common sense. And we're going to make that argument as much as we can and see how it lands, man. That's all we can do.
Are you as convinced by Vance as I am? Have we already found Trump's successor right here? What's your opinion on this? Feel free to share in the comments. I'm curious. And if you want to see JD Vance express his genius, check out the next video. A typical propaganda journalist tried every dirty trick in the book to make Vance look bad, but their plan backfired. Just click here and the journey continues. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Until then, ciao.